There are a couple of ways we could go with this. There are a couple of ways we could go with this. So, the one I favor is that I recreate the previous tier list and then show adjustments. Or I could just do it straight blind, throw everyone in B tier like I normally do and up down it. Blind better. Okay, you do understand that it wouldn't be blind for me, right? Because I remember what I did. I take into consideration only this half of the split. Like, okay, wait. So, like, last time I had Odo up here, I had Wonder here. I had this bad boy here, which I think was justified, by the way. People were flaming me for putting this guy too high. You remember? I had this guy here, and people were flaming me for putting him too low. And now I think all of you guys rate this guy lower than I do, so there you go. But we can talk about that. There's this guy. There's this guy. Where are... There you are. Okay. So, we're about to get to one of the guys who's got to be changed a little. This one's SLT? This one's SLT, right? Because you've used a different profile pic because they've updated their profile pics. Okay, and then hear it. And where are you? They updated his profile pic. He looks happier in this. He looks happier in this one. He's shaved a little, he's smiling. He's smiling because everybody no longer thinks he's F. Alright, and then a little bit of irony here, okay? And there you go. So, this was what it was last time. Alright, this is what it was last time. Okay? And last time, we had these guys down here purely because they're rookies, and they had issues in the ERLs, and it would be a case of who worked around said issues. Now, something else that we said last time was that we're more worried about SLT for that. Not because we thought SLT was worse than Adam, but because SLT was on a team that we were worried is basically going to ignore him and not let him develop. Then, we got into some very weird territory with that. So let me just recap for anyone who wasn't watching my live viewings. Because I went over... I don't normally go over drafts, but I was curious about vitalities, right? I wish they put, like, pick bands of a team there. But yeah. So, what we ended up seeing... This is the TLDR version of it, but you can probably find it in the VODs if you're subbed. The TLDR version of it is that they basically never counter-picked for top lane in the initial weeks. They started counter-picking for top lane only once. Okay? And this was... How many weeks did he survive? So... Boom and... Boom. So there are a bunch of things to do with the other roles as well. Like how jungle's actually more prioritized. Here it's blind. Here it's blind. So here, one would argue that... Oh no, yeah. Here it's blind again. Here it's blind again. Right? And then here, Gwen here, Lulu here, blind. Right? Here... Here, we have kind of a counter pick, except that Jace actually was only revealed to be top on the last one, so this was actually still blind, but this was more forced by the rest of the draft. However, with all the other ones, we can't really say that they ever intended not to do that. They could have easily thrown Viego top as well. This changes. The reason this is interesting, it's not that, oh, if you blind pick for a player, they can't develop. What's interesting, okay, is that they do change it. Here. They switch to counter pick, they blind on top, right? He did play Lucian in solo queue a bit, but not that much. They start counter picking here, right? And then here, they counter pick again. Okay? Now, why this is interesting is that this is the week before he gets fired. Oh, I mean benched. I mean drop down for understandable reasons. That's probably a conversation between the two of them where they both mutually agreed. AKA fired. In esports, that means fired. Before this week, they were blinding, and they decided it wasn't working, and they did this. Who do you think was arguing? Heavily. Who do you think was arguing heavily for this? There's no way that all of these guys decided, right, that the problem is that they're not counterpicking top. Okay? What's most likely to be happening, and I'm not gonna put this full on conjecture, right? What's most likely to be happening is that SLT is getting criticized, and SLT is saying, well, I'm never getting good matchup, I'm always blinding, blah, blah, blah. Right? And then they decide to give him a week where they do counterpick. Okay? And they go 0-2 that week. And we went over the Gangplank matchup on stream, if you guys were here for that, right? That was genuinely badly played. However, what could you expect if you've spent the rest of the weeks just blind picking? Presumably in scrims as well, right? Now, this was the conjecture after week 4, before week 5. That was just a conjecture I was saying. What do we see when Sigenda comes back? Right? What do we see? This now becomes a proof. What do we see? Immediate. Sigenda is brought back because he is more willing to blind. When SLT was unwilling to blind, the rest of the draft was scuffed to give him a better matchup, and he failed with it. Right? So there's an argument here. He wanted more people to play around him, right? Which is understandable. He's been given no chance to develop. They only gave him 2 days of chance, and then boom, he's out. In favor of this guy, right? Immediate blind pick here. On this one, the Viego hold. This is why I pointed out the Viego earlier with Set. You could conceivably be blind picking top here. What they actually do with the Aatrox here is they counter pick mid. They give mid the better matchup that he could get, and we throw him on Aatrox, right? It's a luxury on that one. Did this continue on the last week? I actually can't remember. Yeah, blind pick again. Here it's counter pick after both sets are revealed by Mad, and this game was actually pretty close. But this is also a counter pick on mid, right? He never gets counter pick unless it's in utilization with mid. Whereas with SLT, it was just pure counter pick on the last week that he was there, right? I still believe there was an unfair treatment of SLT going on. Because of this, I think SLT hit a limit on this week. Maybe he's being criticized a lot. Maybe they were politely checking why it wasn't working out topside, and he said maybe if I got a good matchup or something like this, right? But they did on week 4 change their whole draft to give him the best matchup possible, and then dump the experiment there and then. I don't think that's healthy. What Fnatic did with Adam was much healthier. It was also much better than what they did with Bwipo for a different reason. So when Fnatic got Bwipo top lane, way back in the day, I remember his first game really well, actually. He was playing Sion, and he was just getting like 3-man dives top over and over again from his team. Now, that doesn't mean that Bwipo is really, really good from the first game. Though that is what a lot of people interpreted, and that's what created the pendulum. He got hard camped on his initial games, he did well on them, and people decided he was S tier. So when he had games where Broxer abandoned him and camped the bot, they were like, oh, he's dog shit, right? What does happen if you do camp a player like that early on, and you're confident that your bot side can play well with that, and they had Reckless, what happens with that is he gets given the space to learn, because the areas he would get basically removed from the game on are made up for by his team. You have to be able to make up for these errors initially, because they'll never learn step 4-5 if they get destroyed on step 2-3. Right? Get worked, you're not paying attention. What they're doing with Adam is they're still blind picking for him, but they are at the very least, because Bwipo's being a victim of this in the past, alright, understand that at the very least they should make up for some of those deficits. Now, Adam's not getting the level of priority that he got on K-Corp, right? And as a result, we've never really seen like a hard pop-off game from him. We've seen him 1v1 on Olaf, insane, which should always happen, by the way. But we haven't seen a hard pop-off game for him, but we've never seen like an Astro Inc. game where he's irrelevant. That's because Bwipo will at least fix his wave before doing something on the other sides. And Bwipo was a victim of a jungler who never did that. This gives him much more space than SLT has been getting, and bodes really well for his development. And I'm wondering if they had kept Selfmade, if Adam would have been given as much space. Because Selfmade last split, and we talked about this on the last stream, Selfmade last split started being that very only one side of the map exists jungler, right? And this split, we actually did continue to see that. I made a gamble between splits that was a product of discussions in Fnatic, but if it was a product of discussions in Fnatic, it wasn't a product of discussions with Bwipo for sure. Now that Bwipo's in the driving helm, Fnatic perform very differently, but Selfmade seems to continue with the bad tendencies. It's almost like if discussions happen, Selfmade concedes, which is not good, right? Because then we can talk pretty consistently about the kind of team Selfmade needs to be on to perform as a more complete jungler. He's just not doing that this split. So SLT suffered and Adam didn't. As a result, SLT joins the 1 month club. Wait, wrong one. That one. They all look really similar, but this guy has lighter hair, alright? Joins the 1 month club, and yeah, Adam doesn't. Adam gets to go up, but we're gonna have to do like everyone else before we figure out the lower end, right? The next thing I want to say, let me just, I'll leave him here for now. The next thing I want to say, we're saying Nemesis carried Selfmade? No. Nothing like that at all. Nothing like that at all. Bwipo was always like a pseudo shot caller anyway. But he can shot call from much earlier on now. There's no way you can look at that. There's no way you can look at that and think anything but, like, Bwipo is calling. Like, there's no way you can think anything but. So, guys, you guys answer the chat for the people who just suddenly start joining and stuff. So, on the upper end, I'm very glad I waited an additional week. So the reason I waited the additional week is because I'm doing a charity stream and I wanted to get more viewers on the charity stream. But a byproduct of it is that initially, alright, Broken Blade was looking like he was having a better first half of the split than Odo. But Odo is getting much more back on form, right? So in another world, alright, there would have been like maybe even no S tier and Broken Blade Odo here, right? But Inspired has discovered top lane, alright? Which is a new one, okay? He has discovered it, alright? And now that Inspired has discovered top lane, it's absolutely over. So, what was happening early in the split that on an individual basis I would criticize Odo for was Odo was starting to make much more aggressive plays, and plays that I'd basically assume are solo plays, because Inspired, you can't expect Inspired to join in on them. The reason that you can't join in on them is, or you can't assume Inspired would join in on them, is because he just hasn't for 1.5 splits. However, the last couple of weeks, maybe last 3 weeks, Inspired has started to transfer his understanding of one side of the map to top, which I think is the best way to use him for now, so that he gets used to playing a more complete map. Inspired will become such a better jungler from this, it's insane. On this, Odo's expectations were probably more justified if this was a consistent plan that they were going to do this split to develop. And this means Rogue are developing, in the more broader context, Rogue are developing away from the issues that hampered them in the finals last split, which caused all of you guys to overrate Armut, right? As a result, I'm happy to just keep Odo S tier, alright? But Broken Blade still moves up. Broken Blade's first half of the split has been fucking phenomenal, by the way. Has been genuinely phenomenal. Outside of getting fucking murdered by Odo, it has been fucking phenomenal. And in fairness, he's getting murdered by Odo Inspired. It's just the decision-making process Odo was doing in the first few weeks, I understand more, given the direction Rogue has been going overall, right? Then I think the expectations are justified. Broken Blade definitely gets moved up, though. Now, do I keep Wonder a bit below, or do I keep him A tier is the question. I thought his laning phase yesterday was really, really good, versus Fnatic. I think he still has really good moments. But there is a consistency factor. And I think if I said that he had a similar first half of the split to Broken Blade, I think that would be facetious. But I am open to keeping him A. Armor, I think, stays. And I think White Knight joins up here. And that makes it more likely that I move Wonder up again. Basically, right now, everyone looks better. But, except for this guy. But, I don't think the overall state of top lane is doing better. I think when Wonder was A tier last split, he was better than Broken Blade, who is A tier this split. I think Odo's the only one who's, like, remained insane. And I feel like there's a gap between S and A. Right? Now, when it comes to all of these guys, it gets harder. So, all of you guys have now seen Armut the way that I see him. And I think more of you guys have come along towards White Knight. But this now becomes... Oh, right, we have to talk about Hirit as well. So, Hirit is benefiting from having the only jungler playing a complete map right now. And we have seen what happens when that isn't allowed to occur. For example, when Rogue, who are now actually making Inspired play around top, we immediately see what happens. He just gets bodied. Like it's not even close. Right? You guys saying Hirit is A are the same guys who were telling me last split that Armor is A. And you are going to eat your words for the exact same reason. You're going to eat your words for the exact same reason. Hell, some of you are saying Armut was S. And you'll eat your words for the exact same reason. Because what you were actually seeing was a difference in jungle understanding and in the state of the map. Right? And Harry, we did this over Nemesis. Don't make me do this over Adam as well. I feel like Hirit is doing more of the lead he is given than the Armut ever was. Armut was not playing classical split pushers. He was playing team fighting champions, whereas Hirit plays classical split pushers. I don't think he was doing more with the lead. I think that he has more options open to him. I don't care about Gen X. I think players are a terrible judge of other players. Players are a terrible judge of other players. Because players will judge based on the feeling that they get when they play against a person. They don't watch the VODs back and watch the rest of the map. They just watch their lane versus the opponent, and they will misinterpret a lot of things because of that. Yeah, remember mid laner's opinions on Senkooks, right? There's also the fact that if you guys think that people aren't saying in interviews what they think will be best for PR purposes, you are trolling. You are trolling. You would not believe how different some of these players' opinions are behind the scenes than they are in interviews, right? You would not believe how different they are, alright? I've seen some mind-blowing versions of this. Players getting obscene praise behind the scenes, right? Obscene praise behind the scenes. That just never ever occurs in any interviews, right? So, alright, anyone else that I need to talk specifically about here? So, I mean, Kryze is going through about 5 billion changes. And then Shigenda. So, Shigenda's laning phase on the same matchups that that SLT was getting, so I swear I'm not having enough calories these days. That SLT was getting was, yeah, a lot better. Shigenda's a lot better than SLT in lane. He's also has much better judgment in particular scenarios. For example, see his 1v2s that he's been doing. Obviously, I don't think he's an A tier top. I think that these two guys are by far the best tops right now. But he's at least C. And I need to see more of him. When it comes to White Knight, I think I can move him up to B. When it comes to Hero, I'm keeping him here, because when jungle is even slightly contested, he collapses, and you guys are being really delusional about this guy. Like, really delusional. And it is worrying, because you were the same thing about Armut, but whatever. And I think if I keep more players... Oh, you go see. I think if I keep these players here, it's justifiable putting Wonder back in A. Because I do think he is better than these players. But he's not threatening S. Like, he's gotten worse. Like, if I removed A tier entirely, then I think there's more of a gulf here. How is Adam being improved? I mean, I just did my whole Adam speech. If you missed it, then you can go back in the VOD. You are a subscriber, so you can go back in the VOD. How come Adam is B, not C tier? So, a B tier on top is not the same as a B tier on any other role right now. Well, maybe in support. Supports in LEC are not doing well right now. This split is actually the worst split for supports, I think. The things that would drop Adam would be his champ pool. On the champ pool he's showing right now, they are all viable, and they all at least... Really? We got this guy again. And they all at least can be useful, irrespective of priorities from the rest of his team. The thing is that I think White Knight deserves to be here, and I think Armut deserves to be here, and they have the same issues. Like, if I was to criticize him on champ pool, then these guys would have to drop as well. But I don't think you'd argue for that. So I think B tier is fine. I just think it says more about the state of top. And it does say more about the state of top. Where would SLT be if he was still playing? I mean, he wasn't able to do anything. He'd be either here or here. One of the two. Probably here. Like, well, if I'm doing this and accounting for, like, the way that he played when he only just started getting the the counter pick matchups, it would be D tier, right? But I would be D tier, and I'd hope you watch the VOD to understand why I think he shouldn't be there, right? SLT in the ERLs is a better player than Adam. I just lost all my French subs. But the way that Vitality would let a rookie develop is not at all, right? There isn't an argument for that. Yeah, like, if I put Wonder here, though, Champool, Cries doesn't have the same Champool issues, but he doesn't have same highs, right? Like, Wonder here is more a statement about the rest of top lane, you know? Armut's not weak now! I was just correct on the last stream! You guys so often just give top laners their junglers credit. It's amazing how often you guys do it. It is amazing how often you guys do it. Wonder B and dropping everyone wouldn't be fair either. Nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not moving everyone down the tier. I think the list as is good. I think this is representative of my opinion. Saying Sigender, Hirit, and Jenax are all D tier is not representative of my opinion. I'd have to make like a B and a B minus or something, you know? And I don't do minuses and I don't do pluses. I don't think Hirit is D tier because of the utility he brings in team fights. On specific champions. Yeah, if I do plus minus, I may as well just extend everything to EFs, etc. The reason why it would have to be plus minus, though, the reason it would have to be, I think Cabo's insane. I think Cabo, if Cabo was to join right now, he would be B or A tier. Probably A tier. I would expect him to be A tier. And I would predict him being A tier, right? The problem with just adding letters is that people will relate the SABCDs to my previous SABCDs. So you'd actually have to do plus minus. Make sense? Alright. There were no reject tier tops, right? No tops got randomly fired halfway through. I'm telling you, by the way, after next season, G2's just gonna take Whippo. And I think they'll be justified in doing so. Alright, time for my favourite part, where I put it on Twitter and I ignore all of the responses. I love all of you guys. Even when you're hurling so much abuse at me, you wonder why I even log on. Alright? I still love you guys. Okay? You guys don't have as much time as I do. Alright? Are players ordered in each tier? No, they're not ordered. They're not ordered. They're not ordered. If they were, this would be accurate, because Broken Blade's having a better split than Wonder is. This wouldn't be accurate, but it's a close call when it gets to this point. It's a close call when it gets to this point, so it's not really ordered. It's just that like, I could see myself disagreeing with some of these, but not really knowing the solution, you know? Still misunderstood. Here it is, this splits Armut. You're going to turn on him the same way once jungle circumstances change. Especially in playoffs. with how Inspired is developing, plus Elyoya history. Broken Blade most improved by far. I won't put that many exclamation. Went in depth on Adam versus SLT development on stream, so check VOD for that. I won't put on the stream. I'll just put so check VOD for that. Good job, Fnatic, on this. I'll just put good job, Fnatic here. There you go. Alright. Developing talent will start whenever my tier list finishes. Ciaz says that he just has the rest of the day and he's fine whenever. So we'll just do it that way. Nice, hear it. I didn't realize that you had a Smurf Twitch account.
Later and sends his whole EU army at me.
Okay, guys.
Humanoid best mid or riot?
Go spread this. Go spread this, guys. It will really help me out. And guys, if you really hate me, alright, the donation button doesn't even go to me today, alright? The donation button goes to the Samaritans, alright? They are a mental health organization, charity, that does a lot of good work, alright? Any donations today go to the Samaritans. So if you put a really big donation, I'll be thinking, damn, if only that guy liked me and gave me a donation in a normal circumstance, you know? I'll feel really bad about it, guys. So if you hate me, do it. Also, if you love me, do it, you know? Oft? I'm not sure Peter would appreciate it. I don't appreciate that, by the way. I just want to say. I don't appreciate that at all. Alright. Anyway, anyone questioning on the Herit thing, just go back in the VOD. You'll easily be able to do that. And thanks everyone for the follows. I'll just name the people who've been following. Sasori Wave, Antonio. I wonder who your favourite top laner is. John Tig 1234, Sulan 22, Dover Jin, Keys _ Kirstenbaum, Feely PX, Blood Rainer, Caffeine Enjoyer, Harge Dix. Oh, I see. Alright, Krones and Z Pito Tech 3, Kitten Emma, Devs? Hey Devs. Booty Hypnotizer. I'm amazed you got away with that name. Currymaker TV, Duffy Dude, Indeed Lol, and Blackjack. Thanks all for the follows, guys.
And of course, Veteran retweets it like 4 months later and sends his whole EU army at me.
Because he's not as insane as Odo is, Alan. Odo is on a different level to everyone. A tier is worse off this split. Like, Odo is just... Odo is the only real top laner in Europe. I'll just say it. Alright? Cynical Reese, thank you so much for the 16 months, my man. Thank you so much. Alright? Okay, let me go find my other tier list. Oh, goddamn. Okay, here we go. Alright, I'll just leave this one open. Okay, so last split's jungle list was... well, we can just... We'll just drop everyone down here, and then it's less confusing. So how we're doing this, by the way, guys, and you guys will have to help me out, How we're doing this is I recreate my pre-split tier list, and then I show adjustments. The way you can help is you can explain to everyone who joins in and is like, why is this guy in this tier? You can explain to them what I am doing, and that might not be the mid-split tier list that they're looking at, you know? That would be really nice. So anyway, Muscles Glasses is in B. The Intellectual was in A. Whippo was in C. Literally autofill. C was literally the autofill role, no? Yeah, we literally had both autofills there. Alright. My favourite Ginger is there. Kirei. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, we'll get onto him. Elyoya, Yankos. Where is? We'll get onto you, Azlook. Selfmade was here. We'll get onto him. That was everyone. Gilius had been fired, and Schemes had been fired, and Tinks was in the 1 month club, but he's just not there now. Okay, all right. So let's get the obvious out of the way. Guys. All right, let's get the obvious out of the way. All right, okay. See you. All right. Straight in. Doesn't qualify for the 1 month club. All right. SLT qualified for the 1 month club, but Dan doesn't qualify. You are out of here. All right, out of here. Now, if you're really brave, you will at him because he's actually a mod in this chat. If you're really brave, you'll at him. All right, but you are, as the cool kids say, Audi. All right, okay. And in your place, we have the prophesized one. All right, the one prophesized by Casual to bring balance to XL and its jungle lane. All right, all right. Someone's asking how much damn paper. Oh my god. Okay. So, we have Advian here. We will act as if nothing happened, Dan. Alright, you just dyed your hair, got a little bit thinner. Alright. If that's even possible, somehow. He's a very weedy guy. Alright. Advian's here now. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Let's get the next obvious one out of the way. Marcoon, sorry. Yeah. I talked about that guy a lot in the ERLs last split. My brain's just all over the place right now. I blame the heat and I blame my lack of calories. Alright? Let's get the next obvious one out of the way, guys. Alright? Let's get the next obvious one out of the way. Okay? Alright? It is indeed a banger. I would like you to cast your minds all the way back. All the way back. All the way back. Okay? To 2019. What happened in 2019? 2 people joined Misfits. Leader and Kirei. And the meta was pretty heavy skirmishing. Why was the meta this way? Because something was no longer in the game. Or something wasn't in the game that would be in the game in the future. It was rubber banding. One could be as thick as humanly possible, and so long as they had hands on their champions, they could still win games by just forcing repeatedly. We are beyond such things now. We are an evolved scene. We are evolved. And in this evolution, alright, that very solo queue-esque kind of playstyle doesn't function so well. You'll just get caught. And also, we don't have the hands we used to have. So even though Kirei had insane performances at that point on champions like Kindred, for example, the kind of environment he performs really well in would require his whole team to force the game that way, and they're not. They're playing their lane. And he therefore has to play jungle. But he doesn't seem to get that. He is still forcing unnecessarily. It reminds me of Coldo in the in EU Masters, right? When Coldo just like zoomed in, thinking he could do anything he wanted, right? It's bad jungling. It's just bad jungling. He's had 2 chances. I'm fine saying that like it's just bad jungling that's going on right now from this guy. He doesn't even really have hands. With Zanzibar, we don't have hands, but we have a mind. I don't like the way the mind is done, but we'll get onto him in a second. Alright, let's get on to the next one. The next one will be really obvious. Gilius was in reject tier last time. Doesn't need to be on this time. Let's go on to the next one that will be obvious for anyone who watches my live viewings. Okay? Which will be that Razork, for me, right now, is the best jungler in Europe. He is the only jungler playing a complete map, multiple games. Okay? However, I do see this changing. Razork has had splits in the past where he has been S tier. And he has had splits in the past where he has not been S tier. Where he's been B tier even. Okay? Now this weekend I saw the first rumblings of that. Okay? Actually no, the weekend before last I saw it. On the Australis game. Okay? I announced it very loudly and predicted they wouldn't even win. Which they didn't. Which was funny as fuck, by the way, because after I said that, Misfits got an ace. So it was like, whatever, take it to the bank anyway. It was a banger. But they lost anyway, it was beautiful. Nothing to do with Razork on that one, on that part though. But Razork's tendencies, I will say, I think he is S tier based on the first half of the split. But I don't expect that to last. I hope it does last, Razork. I hope all the way through playoffs, you are the player that you have been in the first half of the split. But right now, I think Inspired is going to catch up to him. Alright? And Inspired is not inconsistent. Inspired is very consistently him. Alright? That systemization actually lost them the finals. But this split, Rogue have started switching it up. Rogue have started switching it up. They're being like, you know what? Top lane does exist. Right? Top lane exists now. We'll do something with it. We discussed this on the top lane one. Right? And Inspired's doing well with it. The question is, will he marry the two together for it to be more complete? Now, I think the way Rogue play the map with Inspire going to top is very intelligent. It's not necessarily intelligent jungling. However, if I'm putting Razork in S tier while taking the last 2 weeks into account as well, I think Inspired definitely should be. And I think, were I to take the gamble on which one of these two will be the better jungler at the end of the split, I would say Inspired. That would be my bet. That would be what I take to the bank. Right? That it will be Inspired. And I think Rogue's attitude to how they developed their roster this split is so much better than their attitude last split. Last split, they really all-inned on one specific playstyle. It got figured out, they lost finals, right? This split, they are patching those issues in very nice ways. It's possible for Inspired's being made up for in the same way that Adam got made up for by Fnatic, to be honest. Via Hans Sammer, but we'll get to Hans Sammer later. But yeah, I would be comfortable saying that this attitude will succeed. It's the kind of methodology I would take. And as a result, I would bet on it. Now, obviously, there are a bunch of things that could be happening behind the scenes, but yeah. Now, let's get into these guys. Okay, so we are gonna do some things here. Alright, we're gonna do a couple of things here. Okay? Okay? Okay. First off, have you guys ever played checkers before. Off the mojo. Fucking Dan is just a random to the mojo. Yes. You know how when the enemy trolls, you're going to just like jump through a fuck ton of them? And jungling's in a very, very, very bad place right now. Right? Subito, thanks so much for the 5 months. Right? Jungling's in a very bad place right now. So conceivably, one could see the opportunity. Right? And leap. Alright? Whippo has seen the opportunity and has leaped up to A tier already. I think this guy is actually playing good jungle in a specific way. In a specific... Snooty! Of course, Snooty. Now, the specific way, and this is where you get to discussions, the specific way is that he has recognized certain tendencies in other junglers and plays accordingly. Which means that some games is not necessarily great jungling, right? But it is a great read on his opponents. And that can conceivably be done through VODs, etc. It's rare to actually see a player do that. But Whippo is doing that. However, the games where the read on the opponent isn't enough, Whippo isn't displaying perfect jungling. Right? Like, he's just not. Okay? He displays insane skirmishing because he's like the only jungler that actually had to play laning phase for the last years. Support doesn't count. But I'm comfortable putting him in A. Now, a lot of people are torn on the Jankos one. He didn't have an insane read on Jankos that he abused or something.
And of course, Veteran retweets it like 4 months later. And
oh, Dan. Alright. You lost a job, but you gained the subscription, Dan. Alright. So, I'm actually comfortable keeping Jankos on A. I think his performances have been inconsistent, but I think the overall rate of jungling is fairly inconsistent right now anyway. And I think Jankos' peaks are still very, very strong. And I think as the meta shifts back towards rubber banding age, he'll get better. Right? Now the El Yoya one is interesting, because I see people talking about his tendency to go Volibear, etc. Right? The issue with that is I'm not sure how much of that I put on El Yoya. And I think the pathing he does with Volibear is still good. It's better than some others I've seen, right? It's still better than... But the champions give him less options. You know? But I don't see enough to drop him. Now with Self-Made... I mean, obviously he's not S. He's obviously not S. Right? He's obviously not S. I'm wondering if I even put him A. I think I hold on it. Because he still is able to output carry performances. The thing is that the style of jungling he's doing now, I don't like. Whippo abused that in one of the games. Right? Like, Whippo should have lost 3 quadrants of his jungle. But Self-Made doubled back on bot lane and just inted, right? Like, but that being said, is that enough to drop? Is that enough to drop? Because you can make the same criticism of all of these guys, by the way. That's the thing. You can make the same criticism of everyone. You can. I mean, you guys aren't listening. If you think Self-Made's beyond that, you think these guys are beyond that, or you aren't even understanding the differences that Self-Made has to play with versus what the rest of them have to play with. This Bloodshed guy is not the smartest. I wouldn't say self-made's more inconsistent. I'd say you're moving into results-based analysis. Actually. You know what I think self-made is? Self-made is... What? What is self-made versus everyone else there? Because you guys are seeing inconsistent results. What is self-made? Oh, anyone who says you would need voice comms to judge someone, ignore that person entirely, by the way. That guy hasn't fought for like 5 seconds. What is it? What is going on here, guys? What is going on here? 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 Come on, I want someone to actually say it. Because it's really obvious. Apparently it's just not obvious. It's not obvious! How is this not obvious? Look at the picks on the left and the picks on the right. What becomes really obvious? Thank you, RTN. This guy is not playing with solo lane priority. Selfmade has an extra step versus every other jungler in the league. Selfmade has to get mid priority and then play to sides. There are plenty of junglers in the league that get to skip that, or plenty of junglers in the league that get to rely on their support solely for that, or plenty of junglers in the league that get to rely on sometimes their top lane for that, right? Plenty of junglers in the league that get to rely on their mid laner for that. And Selfmade isn't one of them. Okay? You guys are seeing more inconsistent results, not more inconsistent jungling. And you're delving into results-based arguments if you think his jungling is more inconsistent than the rest of these. He has an extra step. He has an extra step. I mean, Bloodshed, everything you just said, you can't see on here. You can't see on here. Labrov is smurfing on that team, by the way. I don't know what the fuck you mean with that. This Bloodshed guy actually is just trying to trigger me and it's working. I think Crownly versus Comp is wherever. I think Crown Shot's really, really good. But I don't think Comp had to be dropped. If Comp had to be dropped, it was over behavior issues, not over over gameplay, I feel like. So, I'll probably upload this VOD on YouTube. Yeah, I'll probably upload this one. So, I'm happy to keep him here. Right? I'm happy to just have an expanded A tier here. I think the rest of them are actually appropriately placed. Zanzibar will remain in B tier until he proves to me that he has hands, which he can't. The Zanzibar, I've always said, is really smart. The way, we'll get onto this, don't we? The way that Zanzibar is smart, though, is, we'll also get onto this guy. The way that Zanzibar is smart, though, and the way he uses his intelligence is not conducive to developing a good team. Like, Zanzibar sees games where he can pick Trundle. He can't actually pick Trundle in those games, but he sees games where he's against a player who won't actually abuse him for picking Trundle. Like Treats. He sees games where his terrible clear time is not going to be adequately abused, and therefore he can pick Trundle. Where the enemy is not just going to remove him from the goddamn game like it should. That's how he uses it. But as a result, you don't get the benefits of Trundle without the negatives, just because the enemy isn't pounding your Trundle to the ground. You still lack the options in-game that any other better pick would have given you. Because he also can't abuse the fact that his opponents aren't as smart as him. He also can't abuse that. right? He's made it an all things are equal situation. Using his intelligence, he actually brings himself down to the level of his opponent and makes it an all things are equal situation. He doesn't use it, like someone with hands would, to propel his team to actually good scenarios. And I still will never forget the Rumble game where I don't think he landed a single ultimate. It was really amazing to watch. Like, but you know what? Xin Zhao's in meta, you know, and he'll find a way to force tank junglers. I've seen Zanzor in the ERLs. I know how he thinks. All right, I know what he's gonna do. Whatever. You can't stop him. I wish, though. I wish he had more hands. If he had hands, fuck, man. He would be A tier right now if he had hands. Alright? Whippo has the best hands here, probably. Right? Like, this guy is the best hands of all junglers. Right? But this guy is, like, anti-hands. It is such a massive compliment to give someone with anti-hands B tier. And I hope he understands this. Hope he understands this. Right? Bloodshed, what you just said would be a step 1. You now have to say how he doesn't perform well with jungle outside of that. Or how he maybe does suboptimally with winning lanes. Right? The winning lanes argument is good for this guy. Because Markoon came in a scenario where I saw one of the worst drafts I've ever seen in the history of my life. Alright? Alright, yeah, I have to go here. Was it this one? Wait, it was weeks 1 to 4? Fuck me, actually, Dan, you didn't last long, did you? Yeah, this one. Oh my god, man. It's one of the worst drafts I've ever seen in my life. So they pick Aphelios into double melee, right? And you go Kai'Sa, and then more melee. 4 melee and Kai'Sa into Aphelios. It's over, alright? You have fresh Aphelios as well. Into this. So you're winning lane, right? You're winning lane, and you're winning 1 to 3. So we have 3 winning lanes. And then everybody was sat there like, oh my god, he's done so much more than Dan has ever done. It's like, if you put Dan in this situation, you get the same thing. Unless Dan cheeses level 1 and miss smites again. Which if he does, you don't get anything. But this isn't a set of lanes that you would ever risk. And obviously he dove, and then he dove again. But that's literally all you can do here. Like, the game is written for you here. The rest of the games, we have seen Markoon bleed a lot. A lot. Which is what I was used to seeing in the ERLs. What I do think we're seeing more is how NukeDuck wants to play the game. Because Markoon in the ERLs was very much led around by others. And I think Advian might be that person. Because if he would only move up with Advian, then that explains why. But the way he jungled in the ERLs was definitely not good jungling. I actually had an interview with Shinkrov, where the first episode of Developing Talent, where Shinkrov said that he didn't even realize he was like playing against Markoon, you know? Like, whereas Hadis, on the other hand, he actually like had a lot of respect for. The reason why Markoon got so much hype, but then did the last 2 weeks the way the last 2 weeks went, is because in solo queue, he's apparently really, really good. But I haven't watched his solo queue performances, so I can't tell you how. I mean, you can just ban the Bloodshed guy. Mods can just ban the Bloodshed guy, by the way. So I'm happy just putting him here. This guy's convinced himself that cheesing is good jungling. He has just convinced himself that cheesing is good jungling, so... Yeah, I mean, the chat's a lot better if one guy isn't just spewing whatever he thinks will get chat rising. Like, we've gone from, like, Inspired is overrated to Larson is one of the worst mids, from, like, nah, this guy just wanted to troll. Anyway, I'm kind of happy keeping it like this. Alright, so let's remember this time to open a new Twitter tab so I don't lose the other one. Oh, how's the lighting on stream this time? Yeah, it's better. So basically what I've done is I've just taken a normal lamp and put it there. And that's my scuffed setup for now. I'll try to get an actual backlight in the future. I think in one season he will be G2's next jungler. That's my long-term opinion on Bwipo. Oh god, I just saw that Tim Reichardt liked my top lane tier list. He's not gonna do the same with my jungle one, is he? Oh lord. He's managing director for Schalke, for anyone wondering. Like, I opened up the tweet and the first thing I see is the like from him. It's literally staring me in the face right now. Wait, look, I'll show you. Look, it's literally staring me in the face. While I put Kire on D tier. Oh, no, no, no. Cagel deleted his tweet? Why would you delete that? You just got misled by Hillisang. Why would you delete your Anathema Chains tweet? Just reply under it saying that, oh, whoops, I guess it wasn't the case. Or do what I do, which is quote tweet it. Replying under is probably better. Okay, LEC some of the mid-split tier list 2021. I am betting on Rogue's development cycle with Inspired, that he'll be Soul S by the end of the split. He has no excuses. He has no excuses. Razork, only complete map in the league. Whippo leapfrogged Probs G2 in 2023. Hyped on a all-winning lanes game. You know, it's a meme, but at the same time, we do all seriously expect G2 to just take whichever jungler looks the best and gets the most popular support, right? Like, we do actually genuinely expect Whippo in 2023, right? Like, I actually do expect it. Nah, you do realize what's gonna happen, right? There's no way. Here's what's gonna happen. Here's what's gonna happen. Rogue are going to convince Inspired to stay for another split. For another season and extend his contract. And then, G2 won't get him. And Inspired will say yes, because his team is actually really, really good. Bwipo, on the other hand, will be in a Fnatic that is not going to get to the same heights as Rogue. But we'll get onto that. We'll get onto that, alright? I don't see Inspired leaving. Inspired will take a contract extension. I don't see Inspired thinking, man, if only I could join G2 at any point. At any point. I don't see that happening at all. Alright? They're not getting Inspired. Alright? They will get Bwipo. Oh, we found Bloodshed. We found Bloodshed. We found Bloodshed. And we found basically everybody in the chat when we mentioned Kire's name. So there you go. Alright guys, please do like and retweet that tweet. It really does help me out with the stream. So before we do the next tier list, I'm just going to thank everyone who followed since. Shovel123212, Ian Shiver, Vagorf Lol. Oh my god, you really... Alright. Quinn Dissioto Quantofa. XD Nicholas. I'm just going to call you Can11. Super 2 Black 2. Keremcasts Carbonara King. Carbonara is a fantastic dish. Alright. A Wrecked Isles Dysfunction. The Hyaku, Maposaurus 666, Lord Heart 1, Kubusek 42, Magic Hacks. Hope you don't, man. Vax still exists. Flexi 101, Mr. Patik, the Purse AA, Drunken Donkey, XM Benelek, White Mamba, Raphael Rocher, and Philly Pep FGD. Thanks all for the follows, guys. We are still doing a charity stream. Please, if you have spare money, donate generously. Either !donate or at the panel below. Alright? Everything goes to the Samaritans. Please, if you do have money, please do donate, guys. Alright? It's for a good cause. It's better to donate than to sub to me right now. Okay? I'm telling you. Alright? So, the next tier list is mid. So, for anybody who just joined us, and a lot of people are just joining us, I start them off by recreating my pre-split tier list, and then I move on. I explain changes, and yeah, we have discussions, or we just laugh at Kire and Dan. We laughed at Dan as well. So, next bad boy. Am I getting DM'd? Okay, that was just Siaz, who is going to be the guest on Developing Talent today. We'll talk about Prime League. Alright, so... the mid one was, I had... I guess Magic Felix profile picture changed a lot? Yeah, it changed a lot. Okay, so Magic Felix is on C. Thank you so much, my man, for donating $50 to the Samaritans. Thank you so much. Alright. Nuke Duck was also C, which everyone flamed me for. Now people are probably going to say that that is an underrating. Such is the world. Nuclear Int on D tier. If I had done this 2 or 3 weeks ago, everyone would say this is int. but the last few weeks of video gaming has occurred. Niski on B tier was what we had. We had Caps on S. We had Humanoid on A. We had Inspired on A. We had U on C. We had 2 hours on D. We did not rate Blue because Blue was sick. Leader on B. Is that it? That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, because we had 2 hours here. So, do I rate 2 hours? That is a question. That is a question. Do I rate him or do I put him in 1 month? Or in reject? Or do I rate him at all? I should have made a specific 2 hours club for him, actually. Should have made a specific 2 hours club for him. But he is better than Blue. We'll just drop him a little. All right, we'll figure out at the end. All right. Next off. All right. Humanoid to S. Humanoid is the best performing mid laner in the first half of the split. He is the best. All right. Caps lost G2's game versus Fnatic. You lost. You lost the fucking game. You massive inter. He lost so hard that Cap's dad retweeted my tweet where I said he did. So, that's a pretty hard loss. Oh, you don't believe me? Actually, you never said anything like that. But, I will prove it anyway. Oh my god. This guy retweets a lot of things, by the way. But, yeah, okay. I scroll down long enough, it's still there. We'll ignore some of the things he retweets. I checked beforehand, guys, there you go. This game comes down to 2 fights, 1 Mickey X got caught and Caps the other, pauses irrelevant. Retweeted. Alright? That is a humongous int. An int where your dad comes into your room and tells you inted, that is a big int. Okay? And this was a massive int. Alright? So, we're not S-tiering you. We are going to continue to A tier you, and we'll make our first... Well, this is, I guess, was a big modification. We'll next make our next big modification. Alright? Our next big modification. Niski to A. Okay. Niski, for my money, has been the best performing player on Fnatic. He has been. Just because some people loudly complain doesn't mean that they are better. Niski, even in games where people have been saying he's been inting, has actually been having insane performances. Like, his game versus VTO, where people thought VTO outperformed him, VTO was absolutely smurfed on by Niski that game. And then he played Akali in teamfights. Brilliant. Insane. But anyone played Akali like that. Alright. Niski has had the number of so many fucking people, right? And he had Cap's number in their game. Obviously, Cap's played a lane with priority, right? He played a lane with priority. But Niski hard outplayed, not just playing Akali in teamfights or something. The Baron fight was pure Niski. He was so good in that. Now, in the first split, he wasn't an A tier, he was a B tier, and that was surprising for me anyway, right? It was surprising for me that Nisqy was not D tier after spending a season of multiple of North American League of Legends, right? North American League of Legends, and this guy is actually performing in Europe. That was amazing. To me, his consistent development is even more amazing. I think this guy will be contesting, right? Now, I can think of some games that weren't like this, but they are very, very few. And they aren't the games that a lot of you guys think. He's not ST yet, but he is A tier, right? I feel like if I had an A+, I'd put Larson there. I don't have enough to put him S right now. But yeah. Now, Leader has the exact same issues we discussed in the last tier list, and has remained on those exact same issues. Nisqy has not. So Nisqy promoted, Leader has not. Now, do I demote Leader like a lot of people want? I think Leader's champ pool does lead to issues with his team, but for the same reason why I was doing an all things are equal champ pool thing on the last one, I can't effectively hold that on him to demote, given that he is B tier because of his champ pool anyway. Right? Now, these guys even have potentially more restrictive pools, but I would say that Major Felix definitely deserves to be moved up, right? And I would be willing to move Nuke Duck up. I'd be willing to move Nuke Duck up. The guy who said VTO Leader same tier, there is a laning discrepancy, alright? And I mean a laning fundamental discrepancy. I don't mean that Leader looked like he fucking misclicked the fucking turret for teleport and clicked into Orianna to get solo killed and shit, right? But I think this is fair. I think VTO has a restrictive champ pool and has a worse laning phase than everyone above him. Everyone above him, right? And I am fine keeping these two there, except Nuclear Int has had some really, really, really good games. He has. They weren't in the way that you think, though. They weren't in the way that you think. They were not in the way that you think. I don't know why. I don't know what those people see. I would love to get any of those like casters or something on stream or saying he's an MVP candidate and go through the games of him. Alright? Now, Nuclear Int's TF game, for example, or his Rise games, the things that were good about those games were his skirmishing and his team fights. They were skirmishing and his team fights. A lot of people just looked at the KDA and thought, wow, this guy bodied his opposing laner. Like the Nisqy game, right? Which just wasn't the case. He fucked up so much in lane on both those games. But his team fighting was really good, which means I basically just described VTO. Right? Blue does nothing well. Just it's that simple. Even his haircut is D tier. Right? Hey, Dreedy, my man, what's up? Dreedy gets VIP, alright? Dreedy is a man who understands Nuclear Int, because he too has ran it down on Irelia. And I will never let that go, Dreedy, because I was literally praising you during that game on stream, and then you started running it. So... Dreedy runs it a different way. Dreedy's really good at lane, and then he just started inting fights. Or whatever. I will never forget Dreedy. Dreedy, I hope to see you on one of these lists one day. I really do. Shout out to Dreedy and UCAM in the Superliga. Anyway, I'm comfortable with this. 2 hours performance would put him B tier immediately. If 2 hours was to rejoin LEC, I would immediately put him B tier. I thought this guy looked the whole package. This guy looked the whole package. Alright? I will leave him here. I will put a note on the Twitter, right? But yeah. I have also had to watch them in Prime League. Prime League is a very interesting league, but we'll get on that on developing talent later today. So yeah, let's just end the mids here. Feel like Larson is kind of A+, I just don't like doing pluses. I will write that on Twitter as well. Okay, mid lane. Niski phenomenal recovery in NA rehab treatment center. C/D tiers need to work on laning fundamentals more than the tiers above do. First list caps not S. Humanoid is simply reaching its final form. Leader same issues as Lost. Tier list. And it is true, by the way, Leader just has the same issues as the last tier list. It's just the same issues. You know? Which is a shame. This is the first time I think I haven't put caps S tier since I've been doing this, by the way. I think this is actually the first time. Marek Brazda Fan 1 has DM'd me to say, hey, I think it would be really cute if you made own a Marek Brazda tier in tier list because he is by far the superior mid 100%. I wonder if there's any bias, Marek Brazda Fan 1. Can't be, no? Okay, guys. Same thing. Please go like and retweet the tweet. I've dropped it in chat. Yeah, I'm satisfied with these so far. You know, I always get really nervous before I do tier lists. Like, I don't think about the comments that I'm gonna get until, like, the day before. And when I see the comments, I never care. So I just have to remind myself that when I'm actually in that situation, I don't actually care. Right? Anyway, I'm just gonna thank everyone who followed since the last list, like last time. So, where did I end off here? So, Lord Kurika, Araya Lol, Gumala OC, and Fletchered Platinev 2, Prezed Maranx. How do you guys come up with these names? I don't get it. Raynex_7, Deadly with 3 Wise Jonah, and Emmy, by the way. Thank you so much for the follows, guys. Guys, we are still doing a charity stream, please. If you have Jarl Tetra, thank you. Please, if you have any disposable income, please do donate. Everything goes to the Samaritans on the stream today. We're trying to help everyone hit the figure. We're trying to do big for them. All right. There was perks on the tier list in 2020 spring. I think I might have had perks in S+. But you can go and check. You can just go and look it up. Okay, let's get to ADC. Again, guys, please, donate generously. None of the money goes to me, goes to the Samaritans today. Why is it so hot, man? Alright, so... Oft. I don't see this list changing that much, by the way. Alright, so where do we have you? Look how happy he looks. Look how happy he looks, man. It's nuts, no? Well, Neon's getting progressively darker as the screenshots go, by the way. Wait, how? Bro, COVID hair or what? This is the same person? Is this Jezu? Is this the same guy? Neon is still better. Jesus, really? Okay. He looks so different from the last one. He looks so different from the last one. What was I? Kobe looks a lot happier than in the last one. Oh, it's because you're not wearing glasses anymore. Okay. That it? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Yep, that's it. There were no rejects or anything like that for this one, I think. He took off his glasses for this one. Does he have contacts, or did he just take them off for the photo? Probably took them off for the photo, didn't he? Alright. 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 Here's another one where people disagree with me, but it's always Fnatic, isn't it? If it's in terms of that I underrate someone, I feel like it's more often than not Fnatic. If I overrate, it's anybody else. So I think that says a lot, actually. I'm not. Fnatic fans just are never satisfied with rankings. Okay. So. Actually, that could be part of it, by the way, because if I get people on this stream from Fnatic Network and stuff, they would expect a higher standard on the Fnatic players. Okay, so this one becomes difficult. I feel like multiple people can get moved up. One person gets moved down for sure. One stays static. I'm looking at a specific tier when I say that last one. So I think we can go to the one that I demote. Which one do you think I demote? Which one do you think I demote? I'm really tempted to just ban that one guy that said reckless, by the way. Where I won't. Where I do think you are being astro dumb. The guy who said reckless.
And of course, veteran retweets it.
Saki Matty, thanks so much for your third month.
Whole EU army at me.
The guy who gets demoted is Kazi. Now, you guys, basically, the way that people work, I've noticed this. The way that you guys work when it comes to laners is that you give them their junglers credit. When it comes to ADCs and supports, you are very frequently giving the ADC their supports credit or the support their ADC's credit. You are very, 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 very frequently doing that. You are very frequently doing that. Now, I think there is a world where in playoffs, like someone said, Kazi will smash it again. I think that there is a world where that happens. I'm not living in that world. I'm not living in that world. Right? Like, the first half of the split is not that. I can't rate his player's performance until we get to playoffs, okay? On the first half of the split, he gets demoted. Now, when it comes to Neon, you are giving Neon Limit's flaws and giving Limit Neon strengths. And it's so weird to me. Like, I don't know what Neon did that makes you guys just not like him. But in-game, it's not Neon that's the problem. Neon's not creating the scenarios where he can't do anything. Like, that's not happening. Equally, last split and the split before, it wasn't Limit that was creating these opportunities. Neon was going above and beyond. He was the Hans Sammer of his team. Right? And you guys, like, I don't know, Neon's the most underrated player, I think, in the LEC. Just straight up, Neon is the most underrated player by the LEC. Like, 100%. I haven't seen a single player get so little credit that is due to them. Like, so little. So little. So little. I don't think there's an AD that Reckless would criticize on stream, though. He's that kind of a guy, so I don't really view that as like a victory. But Neon is by far the most underrated. He is by far. Now, Kobe has had a much better split, so he gets promoted for sure. Right? He gets promoted to B. He doesn't get promoted to A. Kobe has had, so this is the credit thing. Kobe has had games where he has basically solo carried, and I mean in terms of like fucking diving backline and shit like this, and then VTO cleans up and gets the praise. Right? Kobe has actually had some monster performances this split. Like some monster performances this split. Right? Like, genuinely monster performances. And anyone who talks about stats is inherently a stupid human being. Like, you just haven't thought about things if you... Like, you haven't thought about anything if you think that just throwing a stat out does anything. I definitely don't think he's in the lower tiers. Jezu has had no room to grow. Jezu has had the short end of the stick, but he also hasn't had the performances for me to upgrade him. Like, if SLT was still performing, I'd still have him D2, right? Still playing, I'd still have him D2 on his performance, even if I think that's not necessarily his fault. I don't necessarily think it's Jezu's fault, but Jezu definitely still stays down there. Here's the thing, though. I think Jeskler has had really good performances.
Of course, veteran retweets it like 4 months later
right?
and sends his whole EU army at
right?
me.
This is
Okay.
the only stat that counts.
There's a reasoning behind why I'm going through things in the order I'm going through things, and you'll see soon. Right? Okay? So, Jeskler, I actually do think moves up. And I would keep him solo here. Okay? Cope and Joy, thanks so much for your second month in the army. I will look at your thing. He says that this is the only stat that counts. Right. Anyway. So now what's ended up is that we've ended up with a massive B. We've ended up with a massive B tier. I mean, there's nothing to reply to here. There's nothing to reply to here, by the way. This is just a list of the people with the most games in the LEC. There's nothing to reply to here. Why would you reply to it? Okay, so now we have a massive B tier, and we have to adjust. We have to adjust. Right? So our previous B tier was literally these three. Okay? Do I think these three have had a similar level of inconsistency to these three? Right? Or have they shown more? Right? I think on these two shouldn't be grouped with these two for sure. Right? Now, this, there would be an argument to move him up to A, if we go by this. But I don't think based on the first half of the split I can do that. Now, Patrick is kind of the one that I'm still thinking about. Right? Is the one I'm still thinking about here. So, I think it goes this. And then I don't know if I move Patrick. I know I don't move Kazi. But I don't know if I move Patrick. Because Upset's not an S tier AD carry. It's that simple. Now, there's one last thing. Valakir, if you're there, can you add an S plus tier? Because then I'll make one last change. And the S plus tier has to be purple, by the way. Hey, Racco, what's up? 3 minutes to change it to S plus. You just have to click add. You just click one of these. You don't have to recreate the whole thing. How do I change it? I didn't make it. Oh, can I actually just add row above? Oh, okay. I don't remember being able to do that before. So, first off, you're that. Add the row above. Okay, fantastic. Okay, apparently I can just do it myself. We're all good. Alright, there you go. S plus tier exists. What do you think happens now? Europe has, for the first time in 3 splits, an S plus player. A player who plays laning phase well, team fights well, plays the map well at every stage of the game. Okay? Very rarely fucks up, and when he does fuck up, right? It's not in egregious circumstances, right? It is Jezu. It's Hansama. Jezu is Sita. Someone just said Hans doesn't make team fights well. That should be a bannable offense to think that, by the way. It should be, but it's not. It's not, okay? Okay? Upset's team fighting significantly lacks in a lot of circumstances. He misjudges when to go in a lot. He even misjudged in the G2 game. And as a result, his default state misses on a lot of damage he could otherwise be doing. And the comps that he does and the way that Fnatic plays are very, very pivoted around him. I haven't seen a single player get more leeway in their lane than Upset has been given. In both splits, by the way. In last split, it was basically just everyone bot all the time, right? And even now, when they're doing their cheese repeats, it is all around Upset. Well, on that, he has had, like, 7-0 games where he just doesn't do anything with it. When he does try, it's always a misjudge. That's the issue. That's an issue that he doesn't want to accept on him, but it is an issue, and I can't put him up as a result of this. Like, I can't. He does have to fix that. Everybody who says Reckless is the KDA player and not Upset is just, they're high. Like, they're high. It's just not reality. If that was reality, they wouldn't have been 5th place last split. Like, genuinely, they wouldn't have been. If Upset was the player you guys thought he was, they wouldn't have been 5th place. The lack of Perks hit G2. The lack of Reckless hits Fnatic. Perks is just a step above. Perks was our previous S+ tier. And that was in mid lane. Alfari was also an S+ tier, and that was in top lane. I don't think I've ever had an S+ tier ADC. But Hansama is it. And he is the first S+ tier ADC that I've had on any of these tier lists. So yeah. I'm just going to call this bot lane and not AD carry, by the way, because you need to play more than just Trist every game or something now. Actually, yeah, my S+ tiers keep going North America. Would you at least say Reckless is the best team fighting ADC? I wouldn't say that he is so far above Hansama as for it to be an argument against Hansama. I would say that they're roughly equal, but I don't think there's a meaningful difference between them. I don't think there's a meaningful difference between them. Kazuka seems significant, but he hasn't the first half of the split. Neon underrated. Okay, the tweet's up. I mean, I scouted Patrick, and I scouted Upset. I just don't see performances this split that justify moving up. Like, I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want to say from me. I always say what I think based on performances. I always say how I think they have performed. I'm not, like, biased. If I was biased, then everyone wouldn't keep telling me that I'm biased when they're all coming from different angles. I'm biased, apparently, towards and against everyone on the fucking scene, so... Oh my lord. We might not have Scoundrel for developing talent today, by the way. Get works, you haven't been paying attention if you have to ask that. Anyway. You would look like a genius if Upset and Patrick were S+ players since you scouted them. Patrick has actually won the Best ADC of the Split Award before, and everybody claims Upset is the best in the LEC, so apparently I am an AD carry genius. So... Alright, before we do the next one, I will thank everyone who followed since the last. Okay, so Febroom, Me Hacks, I feel like I know that name from somewhere. Capon Slugger, Luckmon98, Salzers96, Smoothly, 1337 Ragnar 1337, straight from the 2000s apparently, Gizmone, Bronze_Brownie, Renard422, Antonio MK, Steph2898, 1 Latimus11, Dant M Top, Janeway, that's like the first normal name I've seen, by the way, good job. Return XD, iClingus, Urkosac_reformed, the_shy, and xmat29, thanks for the follows. Oh, that's because I didn't do these back then. Actually, no, I did do those back then, didn't I? Anyway, I thought G2 would win it all, so... I was on the side of the argument. I was on the side of the argument that was saying that the G2 roster would work, but that's because my S... They basically took all my S tiers previously, and I don't have a... No offense to all of you ADC players. I have a high opinion of the skill level required to transition from mid to ADC versus ADC to mid, right? So I was actually a believer that it would work. I also thought... Well, I knew that Perks was vocal, and I knew that what Mickey X lacks on the Misfits lineup, because I had Mickey X as S tier from that Misfits lineup, was that neither of them were really talking. And... Perks would add that and help Mickey in that regard, and Mickey X was the best laning support at the time, so I thought that he would basically give Perks the room to learn AD, which he did, right? Initially, they weren't an insane 5-man. They basically, one of them would have a pop-off game for the first, like, 5 weeks or so, right? But yeah. Oh, I forgot. Oh, I did rate Reckless S+ at one point. I actually remember doing that. Well, there you go. See? You guys remember my life better than I do. Alright, so the last one is support. So, again, for anyone new, blah, 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 blah. We're going to, etc. Actually, my chat can explain. Yeah, we're going to do it in order of how it was last split, and then we're going to go through changes, which is what we've done with all of them. I find it's just a much better way of explaining my thought process and stuff than just lobbing them all on, you know? Oh, no. So, last time we had Promiscu on D tier. We had Denick on B? We had Vander... Wait, let's see. We had Limit... Oh, we had a really wide B. We had Hilly on A. We had Mickey on A. I'm gonna shock horror you guys right now. There's not gonna be an S+. We had Kaiser on S. We had Vander on B. We had Jess's on C. We had Lavrov on B. That's it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, right, you. Oh, we had him on B. Okay, so now we have these two new ones. So... Okay. We didn't rate Lilip last time. We didn't rate Lilip last time. This is... I just explained to you what I'm doing! I just explained to you what I'm doing! Why do you bother? Why do you bother watching me if you won't listen? Are you just here for my face? Which, in fairness... I mean, look how my hair's going now, actually, to be honest. Actually, I'd be here for this, to be honest. Actually. You know what? Fair enough. Fair enough, fair enough. I'll have an OnlyFans for you guys later in the year, alright? But, please listen. Please listen, okay? This is just what it was last split, right? Not last split, but pre-split. Lilip wasn't here pre-split, nor was Advian, okay? Also, how many of you guys remembered Lilip but not Advian is pretty funny, by the way. Okay, so... No one goes in the 1 month club. The 1 month club is the exclusive domain of a rookie player who was demoted after a month. Jess's is the opposite of a rookie player. Jess's has years of competitive experience. There are North American Challenger players who have lived on this earth for less time than Jess's has played League of Legends professionally. Jess's is a reject. That's what he is. And before that, it turns out he was D tier. And not C tier. So I overrated him. While still rating him bad, I managed to overrate him. The same is also true of Denick. F's in the chat. Okay? A victim of... the latest victim of Excel. Alright? The latest Excel victim, but not a 1 month club victim. Because he has previously had experience in the LEC. Alright? Through your sacrifices, people learn not to trust the upper management of Excel on anything in Twitter. Because they're just lying. They're lying or they're misleading. So, yes. Just whatever. For Denick, that's just another regular split. Because before Excel, he was on Misfits and he got the same fucking treatment. So... I don't know how this guy hasn't snapped and gone on a killing spree on a subway somehow, but... yeah. Anyway, this leaves us with a golf. Wow, I'm tempted to just leave no one in C tier, by the way. Let's get into the promotions. Let's get into the promotions. Promiscu stays. Lavrov gets promoted. The question is by how much? For my money, Lavrov has given the best half-split performance. However, I do remember that Nautilus game where he pulled what we refer to in the scene as a Hillisang. Which reminds me that an S tier in support is really not the equivalent of an S tier in other roles. Right? I will at least put him A tier for now, and we will ponder it. Now let's look at the rest of the A tier. There's Mickey X and there's Hillisang. Will we honestly say that these two have had a similar consistency of performance as Lavrov? Do we think Mickey X is on a level with someone like Limit? Yeah, I was about to say to the guy who said Hilly yes, Mickey no. I think you mean like Hillisang on a very specific set of champions in a very specific circumstances. Yeah, Promise Q is so you are completely correct. I said Australis are the best team fighting while 10k behind team, and Promise Q is a big part of that. Indeed, Promise Q is a massive part of why they are 10k behind. The guy who said Hilly S tier is a bit amnesic. Hilly is the same flipper that he was. Hilly is the same flipper that he was when I put him at A though. Right? And he could conceivably stay. Now, if we say Mickey down, that looks right, but this doesn't. So we need the motions. We need the motions. In which case, I am about to demote one of them. Who gets demoted, do we think? Someone please at the guy who said I forgot Lilip. Boom. You are mostly correct, because a lot of you have actually been paying attention and not just muting the stream and looking at my beautiful body. So... Harry, don't tell me you don't pay attention either. Okay, guys. On this, where do we put these? Actually, that's probably good, no? That list doesn't look bad. That doesn't look bad. Now, there's one problem. He wasn't top 3 in spring. My lists are the only lists that fucking remain somewhat consistent. Like, he wasn't top 3 in spring, dude. You overrated him. One thing is that this guy's fucking failed Hex Flash is seared into my mind. Is seared into my fucking mind. That's basically the only thing that's seared into my mind. An agent tier. all agents are scum that don't really have to do much work for their money at all. There you go. So there's agents are in the scum tier of the human list. There you go. That's there you go, you've got. I could be persuaded to do this. This would also be very spicy for a lot of people. But I do think this could be deserved. And then I think the list looks fine. If I do that, I could even move Mickey back up. But... oh yeah, Lavrov is the best performing player on Vitality right now. I agree with you there. But Vitality's players haven't gotten especially high ratings on this tier list, so... it's not like putting him on A would put him on the lower end of Vitality. It actually already makes him the best. I could maybe do this then, and keep it at this. In which case the list doesn't change that much. And I could be persuaded on this. I actually think this looks good. It speaks to the state of support, though, that these two can be so inconsistent and still be A tier, by the way. That speaks to the consistency of support.